1974. Watergate was ending, disco was beginning, and the music charts were absolute chaos. You had Swedish bands doing ABBA choruses next to Kung Fu, novelty tracks next to Paul McCartney proving he still had it. This was the year where anything could be a hit, where genres collided and somehow it all worked. 10 songs that defined a year when pop music refused to follow any rules. Let's dive in. Eurovision, 1974. A Swedish group nobody outside Scandinavia had heard of performed a song about Napoleon's defeat, and somehow it became a global phenomenon. ABBA won the contest, and Waterloo launched them from regional curiosity to international superstars. The song was pure pop perfection, catchy chorus, tight harmonies, production that sounded expensive and polished. What made Waterloo work was its unapologetic joy. ABBA was not trying to be cool or edgy. They were trying to make you smile and dance. The Napoleon metaphor for romantic surrender was clever without being pretentious. The song reached number 6 in the United States and topped charts across Europe. For ABBA, it was just the beginning of a decade of dominance. Did you ever imagine that a Eurovision performance could change pop music forever? John Denver wrote this in 10 minutes while riding a ski lift in Aspen. He was thinking about his wife Annie, and the melody came to him fully formed. The song was a love letter, simple and direct, comparing his feelings to natural imagery, filling up his senses like a night in the forest, like mountains in springtime. The lyrics were earnest to the point of vulnerability. The arrangement was perfect for the sentiment. Acoustic guitar, gentle strings, Denver's clear tenor voice delivering every word with complete sincerity. There was no irony, no distance, no attempt to sound sophisticated. Annie's song reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 Inches July. It became a wedding standard almost immediately, one of those songs that transcended its moment to become part of the cultural fabric. This was the theme from the movie of the same name, and Barbra Streisand turned it into one of the most devastating ballads of the decade. The song was about nostalgia, about looking back at a relationship that was beautiful but could not last. The lyrics by Alan and Marilyn Bergman captured something universal. Memories can be bittersweet. Streisand's vocal performance was masterful. She did not oversing or showboat. Every note served the emotion. The Way We Were topped the Billboard Hot 100 for 3 weeks in early '74. It won the Academy Award for Best Original Song and became one of Streisand's signature tracks. The song endured because it tapped into something everyone has experienced: the complicated feelings that come with remembering people we loved but could not keep. This was disco before disco had fully crystallized as a genre. Rock Your Baby had the 4 on the floor beat, the falsetto vocals, the smooth production that would define disco, but it still felt like soul music. George McRae's voice was tender and sensual. The lyrics were simple declarations of love and desire, and the groove was absolutely hypnotic. The production by Harry Wayne Casey and Richard Finch was ahead of its time. The bass line was the foundation, fat and funky, locking with the drums to create a pocket you could fall into. Rock Your Baby hit number 1 in July and stayed there for 2 weeks. It sold over 11 million copies worldwide, becoming one of the biggest hits of the year and a blueprint for disco. Can you remember the first time a disco beat made you move without even noticing?
Skinned our knees, goodbye my friend, it's hard to die.
This song was morbid. It was sung from the perspective of a dying man saying goodbye to his loved ones, and somehow it became a massive pop hit. Terry Jacks adapted it from a French song by Jacques Brel, softening some of the darkness but keeping the essential sadness. The melody was gentle and memorable, and the emotion was undeniable even if the lyrics were almost too sad for pop radio.
Every time that I was down.
The song's success was baffling to some critics. Why would audiences embrace something this depressing? But Jack sang it with warmth rather than melodrama, making the goodbye feel peaceful rather than tragic. Seasons in the Sun topped the Billboard Hot 100 for 3 weeks in spring '74. The song proved that audiences were not afraid of emotion, even difficult emotion, if it was presented with honesty and care. This was a novelty song that became a cultural phenomenon. Carl Douglas recorded Kung Fu Fighting as a B-side filler track in 10 minutes, and it became one of the biggest hits of 1974. The timing was perfect. Bruce Lee movies had made martial arts wildly popular, and disco beats were taking over dance floors. The production by Biddu was slick and infectious. The sitar-influenced riff gave it an Eastern flavor. The disco beat made it danceable. The song hit #1 in both the United States and United Kingdom, selling over 9 million copies. Carl Douglas never had another hit remotely close to this level, making him one of the most successful one-hit wonders in history. By '74, Paul McCartney had something to prove. The Beatles had been done for years, and his early Wings albums were not critically respected. Band on the Run was his statement. He could still write complex, ambitious rock music that mattered. The title track was a mini-suite, moving through multiple sections with different moods and tempos. The song opened with an acoustic intro before exploding into a guitar-driven rock section. Paul played most of the instruments himself after 2 band members quit during recording. Band on the Run reached #1 in the United States and became one of Paul's signature solo tracks. The song showed that Paul could still rock when he wanted to, silencing critics who thought he had gone soft.
Give it a chance now. Come on, baby.
Grand Funk Railroad took a Carole King song from 1962 and turned it into heavy rock for the '70s. The original by Little Eva was light and playful. Grand Funk's version was muscular and aggressive, with distorted guitars and pounding drums. Don Brewer's vocals were rough where Little Eva's had been sweet. The transformation was radical. What made this cover work was that Grand Funk did not just copy the original with heavier instruments, they reimagined the entire feel. The song reached #1 in May '74, giving Grand Funk their second chart topper. The cover became definitive for many listeners who had never heard the original, proving that sometimes the best way to honor a great song is to completely reinvent it. Do you think any modern band could pull off a cover this bold today?
Don't realize what you do to me.
This was Elton John getting experimental within the confines of pop music. Benny and the Jets was recorded to sound like a live performance, complete with fake audience noise. The piano riff was jagged and syncopated, nothing like the smooth melodies Elton was known for. Bernie Taupin's lyrics were about a fictional band and the artifice of rock stardom. The production by Gus Dudgeon was deliberately rough around the edges. Elton's vocal performance was full of attitude and swagger. Despite being an unlikely single, Benny and the Jets reached #1 in April '74. It topped both the pop and R&B charts, showing Elton's range and his willingness to make weird choices sound like massive hits. This was Elton John getting experimental within the confines of pop music. Benny and the Jets was recorded to sound like a live performance, complete with fake audience noise. The piano riff was jagged and syncopated, nothing like the smooth melodies Elton was known for. Bernie Taupin's lyrics were about a fictional band and the artifice of rock stardom. The production by Gus Dudgeon was deliberately rough around the edges. Elton's vocal performance was full of attitude and swagger. Despite being an unlikely single, Benny and the Jets reached #1 in April '74. It topped both the pop and R&B charts, showing Elton's range and his willingness to make weird choices sound like massive hits. Wait, you're probably thinking this was '73, and you're right. But its cultural impact was so massive that it dominated conversation throughout '74 as well. Everyone was still trying to figure out who the song was about, and that mystery kept it relevant long after it left the charts. The song itself was perfect. Carly Simon's vocals were confident and cutting. The lyrics were devastatingly specific. The details about the apricot scarf, the private jet to Nova Scotia, the strategically dipped hat, all painted a vivid picture of narcissism. You're So Vain reached #1 and stayed in the cultural conversation for decades. The mystery of the subject became part of pop culture lore, proving that sometimes what you don't say is as powerful as what you do. 1974 gave us everything. Disco emerging, rock evolving, pop refusing to be predictable. From ABBA's Eurovision triumph to Paul McCartney's comeback, from Kung Fu novelty to Elton John's experiments, this was a year that proved there was no single way to make a hit. These 11 songs had nothing in common except quality and timing, proof that great music comes in every form and every style. So here's the question. If you could only save one song from 1974, which one would define the year for you? And more importantly, which of these songs do you still know every word to without even trying?